Welcome to the Awesome Pod Mix. You are listening to Abby. The idea behind this podcast was to talk about how certain movies and TV shows made me feel when I watched them for the very first time. A reputed filmmaker once said, when a piece of art invokes a similar feeling amidst a large audience, it's the triumph of the filmmaker. That's the magic of cinema. I love the magic of cinema. Today I'll be talking about the TV show Ted Lasso Season 3 Episode 8. The show is developed by Jason Sudeikis, Bill Lawrence, Brendan Hunt and Joe Kelly. This episode's title is We'll Never Have Paris, written by Keeley, Hazel and Dylan Marin. The episode is directed by Erica Dunton. The episode begins with the song My Ever-Changing Moods by the State Council. Richmond has had 4 consecutive wins since the Arsenal match. Everyone assumes no one is happier than coach Ted Lasso. In reality, Ted is very sad. We see the close-up of a sad Ted seated across Michelle and Jake in the Crown and Anchor pub. Ted is having a hard time seeing his wife and their former therapist together. May rigged the machine so that Henry could play without coins. Michelle reveals that Jake is taking her to a surprise trip to Paris. Ted is clearly unable to process this, so he deflects it with humor. The title sequence begins. Keeley and Jack are together when she learns that her private video has leaked online. Keeley reacts mortified. Nate has gone out on one date and he wants to label his relationship with Jade, but he pretends to be cool and casual about it. Keeley is freaking out about the leaked private video. Jack's initial reaction is supportive. She promises to take care of it for Keeley. Will the Kitman makes Henry do the chores in the locker room. My first reaction was, that's child labor. Will sips on his drink seated comfortably on his chair while Henry does all the work. Coach Beard, Trent and Roy watch Henry do all the work. Roy questions, is this a game or child labor? Trent responds, in late-stage capitalism, what's the difference? Coach Beard agrees, saying, word. Ted asks the guys a question. If you could propose to someone you know anywhere in the world, where would you do it? Trent and Roy reply in unison, Paris. Coach Beard says, Hall of Mirrors, Linderhof, Germany, because if she says yes, you'll be surrounded by 1,000 yeses. Or Paris. Why? Ted reveals Jake is gonna propose to Michelle in Paris. Roy offers his condolences and checks with Ted if he wants to talk about it. Of course Ted wants to talk about it. Coach Beard picks up the phone and asks the Diamond Dogs to assemble. Trent inquires, what's Diamond Dogs? Coach Beard explains, the Diamond Dogs are a group of men committed to supporting each other by sharing their most intimate thoughts, feelings, and experiences. You in or out. Everyone should have a supportive group like the Diamond Dogs. Trent is in and he's the newest member of the Diamond Dogs. Higgy Pie comes rushing to the Diamond Dogs meeting. The Diamond Dogs warmly welcome Trent into the group. Ted reveals about Jake proposing to Michelle in Paris. Higgy Pie checks if Jake at least asked for Ted's permission. Ted says, I'm her ex-husband, not her current father. I love this line. Coach Beard asks Ted how he found out. Ted says Jake's taking Michelle on a surprise trip to Paris. Everyone glares at Ted. Higgy Pie suggests, you should find out before you flip out. Everyone points at Higgy Pie, agreeing with him. When Ted looks over to Roy for assurance, even he nods in agreement. When the Diamond Dogs disperse, Trent says woof. It's definitely a reference to Shrinking's episode titled Woof. Nate has summoned Roger and Disco for a Love Hounds meeting in his cabin. How delusional is Nate to think that Rupert would be a part of Love Hounds? Nate reveals about his relationship with Jade and the relationship label issue. Disco has been divorced 3 times. He doesn't let his women know how he feels. It's very expensive. You see, communication is the problem here. Roger says he read in a book if you like a woman, you should insult her. My question for Roger is, in which book did you read that, Roger? And can I hit you with that book? Probably that would drill some sense into you. Ted visits Rebecca in her cabin. Rebecca checks if Ted should be at training. Ted says he's got that covered. Cut to a wide shot where Richmond players are cheering while Henry kicks the ball. Back to Ted and Rebecca, Ted asks her to hire a PI to spy on Michelle and Jake in Paris because Jake's gonna propose. Ted wants to find out before he flips out. Rebecca tries to talk some sense into Ted. When Ted asks Rebecca where she and Rupert got engaged, the answer is of course Paris. Ted really wants Rebecca to help him. It's so sincere and honest. Also wrong. After their conversation, Ted is bummed to learn that Oscar Wilde is dead. On his way out, Ted high-fives the tree. I had no idea Paris was such a big deal. I would probably have to write a movie, base it in Paris, go shoot there and then spring up the big proposal. I would also have to steal a blue French horn. Keeley is in her cabin and reading the comments on her leaked video. Barbara brings in a statement that Jack wants Keeley to issue on all her socials. It's an apology note, but it's not Keeley's fault. It's a gross invasion of her privacy. It's her personal private business. In the locker room, the Richmond players discuss about private photos and videos. Sam, Jamie, Danny, and Isaac insist that the right thing to do is to delete it. Colin has opposing views. He does not want people to see his stuff. Sam reveals that Keeley was one of the people who were hacked. Roy, who's been listening to the entire conversation, reacts. Isaac makes the entire team delete such photos and videos sent to them. The song Strangers by the Kinks plays. Everyone gets down to deleting the photos and videos. Isaac thinks Colin is not complying. He snatches his phone and takes a look. We don't see what he sees. He nods and returns the phone. This is sowing the seeds of conflict for the next episode. The camera slowly tracks into Colin as he sighs. Keeley discusses her situation with Rebecca. Rebecca is all supportive and compliments her on the video. Keeley feels like she's 15 again. It was her choice when she decided to put up some explicit photos of herself on the internet. But this was not her choice. Rebecca asks, "Is there anything I can do to help?" Keeley replies, "Restructure society so women aren't constantly sexualized while simultaneously being crucified for being sexual." Rebecca says, "On it." "Yes, please, Rebecca, do it." Keeley checks with Rebecca if she should be ashamed or embarrassed. Rebecca assures her she should be none of those things. "Keeley, you go, girl." Keeley is upset about the apology note. Rebecca wants Keeley to communicate her concerns to Jack. Rebecca hugs Keeley, comforting her and saying, "I've got you." Friendships like this are rare. Roy meets Keeley outside the training facility to check if she's okay. Roy asks who the video was for. I feel Roy is better than that. He should have never asked that question in the first place. He apologizes for the same, but the damage is done. The song Mistakes by Sharon Van Etten plays. Keeley expresses she doesn't want to post the apology note Jack sent to her. Jack says she understands. She didn't want the lawyers to get involved. Ted reads Breakfast Club Adventures by Marcus Rashford to Henry at night. Henry shares that he and Doug are starting a band and Henry would be playing the drums. When Ted asks Henry about Jake, he answers a couple of questions and then dozes off. The following day, Ted and Coach Beard take a day off to spend time with Henry. Coach Beard suggests a couple of things to do for the day, but Henry wants to see a football match. There's only one match and that's of West Ham. During the match from the seats, Henry yells out to Nate and waves at him. Ted waves at Nate as well. Henry even points out to the West Ham jersey he's sporting. Nate turns to look at Henry but doesn't even wave back. Henry is a child, Nate. You may be angry with his father, but you could have set those differences aside for a moment. This doesn't justify your rude behavior toward Ted's child. Henry was all excited that Nate looked at him. Ted assures that he even heard him. Henry was so pure and innocent. I was all teary-eyed. Later, Nate receives a text from Rupert apologizing about Ted's presence at the game. At first, Nate types, "It's okay, I thought it was funny." He deletes that and writes, "Good, thank you." "I'm sorry, Nate, I am done being supportive. I don't care anymore if you get redeemed or not. Thank you for reiterating the lesson that people who do terrible things thrive in life." Outside the Crown and Anchor pub around the Richmond Green Golden Coat, we see a musician, Alice Vargas, playing the guitar and singing "Take Your Mama" by Scissor Sisters. May gets upset when she learns that Ted, Henry, and Coach Beard attended a West Ham game. Coach Beard tries to reason with May, saying Henry is a child. Coach Beard assures May that he didn't want to be there. May puts Ted and Coach Beard on probation. Alex Vargas plays "Hey Jude" by the Beatles. Rebecca sends Ted a text saying, "I have info, call me." Ted excuses himself to call Rebecca. Rebecca tells Ted that he doesn't need to go down this road. Coach Beard shares the origin story of Hey Jude with Henry. How a little boy Jude's parents were divorced and that made Jude really sad. His dad's friend wrote him a song. Coach Beard says, "You have the power to take a sad song and make it better." Over the phone, Rebecca checks with Ted as to why he never took Michelle to Paris. Ted reveals he was too broke then, and then they had Henry, and then they got busy, and he always thought they had more time. Rebecca makes Ted realize that he still has time with Henry. Rebecca says, "You should stop letting yesterday get in the way of today, Ted." Ted rushes to join Henry and Coach Beard, who are grooving to the song Hey Jude. It was such a delightful and tear-jerking moment. Jack wants Keeley to post a watered-down version of an apology. Jack describes the leaked video as porno. "Too far, Jack. You took it too far." Keeley clarifies, "This video being leaked is not my fault, but for some reason you think it is." "Yes, Keeley, you are not at fault. You go, girl." Jack insinuates that Keeley should have never made the video in the first place. "Jack, you shouldn't blame the victim." Keeley doesn't regret making the video or sending it. She should not regret it. It's her personal private business. Jack leaves not certain if she would return. Jade insists that Nate should celebrate his victories. She finally labels the relationship and calls Nate her boyfriend. Keeley is in bed having coffee, lost in her thoughts. The doorbell rings and it's Jamie at the door. He's come to check on Keeley. He apologizes about the leaked private video. Jamie deleted some stuff because he thought they would get back together. He deleted half of it initially out of anger when she started dating Roy. Jamie makes a sincere apology to Keeley. He takes accountability for not deleting his emails. Keeley hugs Jamie. Jamie's arc this season is remarkable. Jake is clicking selfies by himself near the phone booth. Ted helps Henry get ready. When Ted passes over Henry's backpack to Michelle, we see a dedicated shot of her left hand with zero engagement ring. The song To Do Simone by Marcel Amon plays. Ted watches Henry and Michelle leave from his home window. He notices a cold vibe between Jake and Henry and Jake and Michelle. The end credits begin over the song. I just want Ted to be happy. He deserves all the happiness in the world. You can listen to the awesome pod mix and subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. If you like what I'm doing, you can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/awesomepodmix. Thanks for listening.